So my name is Andrei. I've got this really complicated Ukrainian-based surname. Don't even try to spell it. And I'm here to talk to you about the challenges of creating a mobile free-to-play games. So before I start, how many of you have actually released any kind of game or participated in releasing a game to the market? Can you just raise your hands? Okay. So how many of you have released a free-to-play or mobile game before? Okay, some people. Okay, so just so I know what kind of examples to show, so just make sure. So I think we've got like 2 people talking before about free-to-play in this or that aspect before this conference. It was Victoria and this other guy. It was fine, and I will talk about only the main aspects of creating mobile free-to-play games. And some of you may have some experience with that, so I hope you're not finding it boring. But we will go through a few issues in game design, game development, and monetization of free-to-play games. So we'll cover the most important parts. And yes, just so you know, making games is that emotional. I think you should, you'll probably agree with me. So a couple of words about my background. I'm from A-Steroids. I'm a CEO and the co-founder of A-Steroids. I started this company 6 years ago. That's like a lot. And we are kind of unique in terms of our way of working because we're a distributed development studio. Which means that we have 2 core locations, one of them in Klaipėda in Lithuania and one of them in Russia. And we've got other people working from Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia and other places in Europe. And it's kind of easy for us to work remotely because since day one, we thought of ourselves as this distributed kind of company, which doesn't actually needs everybody to be in the same room, but we can work together from all the locations around the world. It involves a lot of moving around, but we kind of liked it. So also a couple of words about our games. One of our first games was Underworld, which is a location-based real-time smuggling simulator. So you basically go around the city, buy some cheap drugs from laboratories, you move around and sell some stuff for the profit and have fun with this game. So we first released this game in 2009, and people liked it a lot. And right now we're working on the full-scale sequel to this game, and it's free-to-play, and it's mobile, and it's mass multiplayer game. So this is kind of one of our first games, and our biggest game by now is the game called Clash of the Damned, which is an online RPG game about vampires kicking asses of werewolves and vice versa. And it was launched a year ago, and it's also an MMO game, and it's free to play, and it's mobile. We actually learned a lot from working on this game and from supporting this game to this day. And I will show a lot of examples of how we improved this game during the last year of a lot of improvements we done to it. So a couple of numbers, just to show you background of this game. We've got more than 1 million downloads, and because it's a hardcore game, in some way it's kind of good. We like this number a lot, and we've got a lot of monthly active users, and we kind of our monetization numbers are quite good. We're still improving it on a daily basis, but like. For example, this number of our paying users pay us about $40 per month to play the game, and this is very good for Android especially. The game is available for 3 platforms, and like I said, we're improving it on a daily basis, and I will show a lot of examples from this game. So, if there's one message I would like you to drive home from this presentation, from this talk, it's this. Make sure they love your game, because this is the core difference between free-to-play and premium, that with premium monetization model, you can lure your players into the game by some great graphics or some movie license or some other tricks or some advertisement. In free-to-play, it doesn't really work that way. If they don't like your game, they will not pay you for it. So make sure they love it, or better yet, become addicted to it. So it's not enough. I will have to warn you. It's not enough to just make the game that people will love and they will bring you money. You still have to work a lot to make them actually pay when they love it. But it's kind of requirement. If you don't have this, you don't have anything, and you probably should not do games of that kind. So let's start with this first question. What is the foundation of a success of a free-to-play model? So it's pretty easy, and I think a couple of people have already pointed out this really simple one, no-brainer. It's free. Yeah, yeah, that's. So because you don't have to pay the money upfront, it's really easy for you to get those games. So if you see people how they interact with the App Store or the Google Play Market, how they work with how they download those free games. They just open the market, go to the free section, and just download all the games from the top. That's it, no-brainer. You just get them in tens. Like you get 20 games, you get on the bus, and you just start this one. So okay, and you just check the ones you like, and you get back to the ones you like. So this is really good for the customer, but this is really a kind of poses some problems for us, the developers, because basically, truth is, nobody cares. Because I haven't put any money into the game, I will not actually pay a lot of attention when I try it. So on the how much I care, I think free games are somewhere between free shampoo samples and free food. And actually, who can compete with free food? Let's be honest. So what does it mean for us game developers? Once again, it's actually two things. First of all, it's really complicated to get noticed in the store. You have to work really hard for the players to actually even top your game when they see the list of all the games, free games that are available. It's really, you have to get them good reason, good graphics to actually top your game for more details. Second one, even if they download your game, you will get, like, in best case scenario, I will emphasize this, best case scenario, you will get one chance for them to like your game after they actually see how it works. Because in many cases, after people download a lot of free games, there is the statistics that tell us that about 2/3 of all the games, of all the free games people download to their phone, get deleted before they actually get launched even once at all. So basically, even if he starts playing your game, you get one chance. So let's work with two of those things first and see what is important to do to actually nail those parts. So first of all, let's start with the game icon. The first thing that people see in the store when they actually see your game. So I will show an example of our icon from Clash of Damned. So this one on the left is our one of the first icons we had, and the second one is the new icon. So as you can imagine, it's now quite easy to actually understand that the second one generates a lot of more interest from the player. But before you actually do that, it's not so obvious, because when you only get this first icon, you see it's kind of fun, it's kind of nice. It got this, werewolf guy. It should work, but it's not. You have to try a lot of times, try different icons, and see how much attention they get from the players. So from our experience, what we learned about the icon is that first of all, aim for the best possible quality. If you got like not a lot of money, still you got to spend some money on great icon. Find some great artists, try a couple of them, and see if they bring you results. It's really cool to actually get your icon in line with other icons of very popular games in the store, and see if the quality level is more or less the same that those guys got. So for example, after we switched to this icon, our organic reach has doubled, and we have noticed our game being shown as similar to a lot of existing games in the Google Play Store, like those really known titles like Clash of the Damned, like Fruit Ninja, and we actually noticed that the level of quality is actually the same. So really try to, it's really complicated, but try to actually aim for that. It's good if your icon has really has one character portrait or some character or some recognizable object, because people actually, if it's something really indistinguishable or something complicated, it shouldn't work. It will not work. So try to stick with some character, some one visible character, and just make sure it's implemented really well. So because most of the mobile devices have really great resolutions right now, have really great screens, try to aim for just enough detail for the icon to be visible really good on the Retina display, for example, on the iPhone, iPad, and stuff like that. So one thing I'd like to also mention in terms of best practices here, it's really good if your icon conveys some emotion to the player. It's if it's not just boring one, but for example, we really like that this girl of ours is kind of emotional. She's yelling, or I don't know what. She's angry probably. So this is really cool. People really like that. People tap on the games when they see some sort of emotion there. So let's say you kind of nailed an icon and you've gotten a great icon. What is the second thing that the players see when they tap on your game? Actually, they see the screenshots. Two things you have to know about screenshots. Best of them look amazing, and they actually tell you how to play the game. Because besides the actual level of quality that you have to reach, it's really cool if the player seeing your screen can actually imagine himself playing this game. If it's the kind of game I will enjoy. For example, if I see this fighting game, like in our case, do I like fighting game? Yeah, I probably like, so I will download it. So it's really cool if the player has some sort of understanding how to play before he actually started the game. It's really easy for him. It makes it much easier for him to get into the game and start playing right away. So even though those two things like icon and screenshot seem like obvious things you have to work with, it's really important, and I cannot stress enough how many developers actually fail at point and see that okay, we've got this really cool game, so okay, they will get to that anyway, and they don't care about the icon and the screenshot. It's actually a big mistake. So let's say you were lucky enough for a game to be noticed, and they actually downloaded the game, and not only downloaded, but they actually launched the game. So in that case, treat your first launch of the game as a celebration. It's really important to bring your best goods, to show your best stuff at the first launch. Because think of that, if the player has actually launched the game, it doesn't mean he will get back to your game. So you have to give him the reason to get back. So if you got a great intro video, show it, but make sure it's very short and the player can skip it. We'll get to that point later, actually. And if you got some cool core gameplay, show him the gameplay. Don't actually make him to create a character or do something else, something complicated. Just show him your game. Show their best stuff you've got. If you got some great deeper features into the game, make sure he knows about them, that he will be able to unlock them in the future. This is actually something that draws his attention, and this will give him one reason to get back. In some games, for example, when you start playing, you will notice that you've got this opportunity to claim some reward in maybe tomorrow. So this is actually one of the reasons for him to get back to the game as well. So this works too. So as an example from Clash of the Damned, at some point last year, we made a few things. We removed this intro video we had. It was kind of long and boring, and at some point we realized it doesn't work really well for us, so we just got rid of that. And since Clash of the Damned is a fighting game, we don't make the player create his character. Before even that, we actually show him the fight. So the first time you start the game, you will see your character fighting another character, and you can interact with the game and see how cool is that. And your character is actually kind of tough, has great armor, has great sword, and has some power-ups, and it feels great. So it's what we do, and right after that, you get to the point of creating a character. So we show the best stuff we've got at first. We also improved a lot of entrance points, like we created this really cool character creation screen, so we show all the best stuff at first. So, just a sec. Next point that almost every game has, it has to be, is tutorial. I will say just a few words about that. And first of all, you should know that nobody reads any kind of text. We will talk about the mobile playing patterns later in this presentation. And I will just have to say that when people play mobile games, they don't have a lot of time reading your texts, and nobody actually does that. So best thing you can do in the tutorial is to just show the player where to tap to actually go further into the game and to start actually having some fun. So just as breadcrumbs, you know, from this story about breadcrumbs, just show me where to tap to start actually having fun. Where is my fun? Just show it to me. And if there's any text, make sure it's optional. Make sure I don't have to read it to understand what happens. Make sure that the players will, best case scenario, they will understand some of the pictures you show them, but even that is not actually guaranteed. Because sometimes they just tap, don't see the screen, just tap, what doesn't work, next. So some designers I know are worried, and we were like that like a few years ago, are worried, my players actually want some freedom. They want to explore the game. They want to see for themselves what parts of the game they actually like and enjoy. No, that's not gonna work. If you do that, you will just lose maybe half of all the players that try your game, and they will just skip to Clash of Clans, and that's it. So nobody cares, nobody reads, just show them where to tap and to actually have fun as quick as possible. So when you actually finish the tutorial, and you have to think of all the other obstacles the players have between them and having fun in your game. So think about all the other things that actually stop them from having fun. It can be too complicated menu system. Don't make it too complicated. Make it obvious, make it easy, understandable. If you get some complicated features in a game, don't pour them out on the players right away. Make sure they unlock them gradually and get involved in the game step by step. So if you got some complicated registration form, God forbid, don't ask them for their emails. It's just so complicated. So make sure the form is easy. For example, I will show you I can tell about in Clash of Them, we had this step in the game where you have to enter your character name. So before we did something, we had this empty text label where you have to insert your character's name. So I can tell you for a fact that about 10 or 20% of all our players actually try to get through that point, not entering any kind of name. They just clicked OK with the empty text label, and they actually had this error message saying that, you have to enter your name. And a lot of them actually quit the game after that. So what we did, we actually got this list of random names, actually names and surnames, thematic to the setting of our game. It was vampire and werewolf names, and we randomized them and enter in this character name. So a lot of our players just have those procedurally generated names, and they're fine with that. If they want to change it later, they will just do it later. So I hope you understood this point. So like I said, icon screenshots are really important, and in the tutorial, don't make it too complicated for them. And once you get to all this stuff, just try to test it. Playtest as important in free-to-play, in mobile games, as important in any kind of other games you make. So, and I cannot stress enough how many developers know that fact, but they don't actually do any kind of playtest. So it's really still the best way to test your game entry experience, to make sure if they like your icon, if they like your characters, if they understand where to tap in the tutorial, if they understood the kind of the concept of the game. And you can start by showing the game your friends, and then getting to like strangers, just finding some people, random people at the street, or some relatives of yours. I don't know. Just use strangers. Use everybody. Just when you do the playtest, don't actually say them how to play, and only shut up and watch how they interact with the game. If you got any questions, ask them later, after they actually tried it and did something, and you got any questions about that. So once you're ready with this starting experience, let's dig deeper. Let's talk about the game design of mobile free-to-play, because a lot of people start doing mobile games after they actually get into mobile from other platforms like console games or PC games, maybe casual games, maybe some indie kind of stuff. And they still have this mindset that people try to find the time to play games. So if you remember those good old days when people thought, okay, I will have 2 hours this evening, I will get to my console and just have to play. It's important to understand that in mobile, it doesn't work that way. People play mobile games really differently, and as a game developer, you have to think of ways to actually design the game in the way that fits the player's playing pattern. It's really important. If you don't work around that, you will not be making a successful game, that's for sure. That's one of the general truths. So what is typical to mobile playing pattern is very short sessions during the day. People play on the bus, people play in traffic, people play in a supermarket line, and I hope you're not be afraid of that, but a lot of people actually play on the crapper, and they don't have a lot of time, but that's a fact. People do that. And sometimes they have more time to actually play, get into your game for like maybe 10 minutes or so. So there are few longer sessions during the day, maybe a couple of them. And what is also really important to understand that even though this kind of they have those really short sessions and not more sometimes, some of your loyal players will get back to your game for years and months if you make the game interesting enough, if you get enough goals for them to actually nail. So in order to understand this mobile playing pattern, ask yourselves if there is a chance I will have fun with your game in 60 seconds. For example, waiting for an elevator, or waiting for the bus, or just some other quick period of time I have free. So, and this 60 seconds actually includes me getting my mobile phone out of the pocket, finding your game, launching it, seeing all those menus you've got, seeing all those loading times, and then I get in your game. So ask yourself if it's possible to have fun with your game in such a short period of time. Because if you're not doing something right, and you will not end up with a good free-to-play mobile game. So no extra menus, minimum clutter, minimum loading times, and make sure that your core gameplay can be enjoyed in really, really short amount of time. If you look at the best games on the market, they're like that. You can play with them in like a minute and have fun. And what's important, not only have fun, but I will get the sense of progress, that I did something good in the game. I got some new resources, or I kicked some butts, or I did something else, so I could progress through in my goals in the game. So once you're fine with that, ask yourself if I can play with your game for an hour, because this is kind of really different kind of gameplay that I have to propose to player to actually make him play with my game for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or longer. Like you may know, every game is actually a set of goals that the player finds in the game and actually completes them. And this flow of finding a goal and completing it is kind of giving him a sense of progress. This is important to every kind of game you find on any platform. And free-to-play mobile games are not the exclusion here. So in free-to-play, we call this part a meta game, because this is something else besides the core gameplay that people can enjoy and find goals and progress toward that. So this is really important part, because when we speak of monetization, this is the part where they actually pay you the money. If you don't have, if your, for example, your core gameplay is not a quick, cannot be enjoyed in a minute, it's one problem. But if the players don't have enough goals, enough feeling of progress into the game, they will not pay you money at all. That's the second problem, and that's I think maybe the biggest problem you may got. So, like I said, if you don't have any meta game, no goals in the game, you will get no money from your game. And let's ask yourself even more difficult question. Can I actually have fun with the game for a year? And I'm talking a daily basis exposure to a game. So in both Underworld, in Clash of Dent, we've got players who come back into the game on a daily basis and do it for more than 6 months or a year. This is really shows some persistence. This shows some kind of goals that players have into the game that it's interesting for them to get back to. It's actually on this stage you have to think if your game has some sort of social interaction between players, because one of the main attractions the player have in the game is having friends and enemies in your game. So, for example, in Clash of the Damned, we've got clans. This is the way for players to organize those small groups that have common goals, and in clans they have their friends and they have their enemies in different clans. And this is, like, I think the only way to make players get back into your game for a year or longer. It's not gonna work otherwise, that's for sure. So think if your game has that. Besides that, of course, you have to work with the community, do a lot of events and stuff like that, but still, this is social stuff anyway. I will show you a couple examples from Clash. Our core gameplay is the fight system. So even though it's turn-based, it's really dynamic. We spent a lot of time improving this core gameplay to make sure it's addictive. It has this itching feeling of getting one more fight. So once I kick some butt, I kind of want to get back to it and do it again. So it's really important. You have to think, you have to play test your core gameplay a lot to make sure it's, first of all, it's polished and it's addictive. Players want to get back to it over and over again. Our meta game is based on deeper features that you may find in typical RPG games. We've got ingredients to make potions that will help you into the battle. We've got magic crystals. We've got a huge inventory of armors and weaponry. You can improve this weaponry with magic crystals and stuff, all those things. So we kind of wanted this to make this a really simple, even though hardcore game that will get this depth of a true RPG, and we wanted it to be online. So this is what our meta gameplay is based around, and this part of the game can propose a lot of goals to players that they will want to achieve, and they will be they will be willing to spend money to bring those goals closer to them. So basically achieve them quicker than they would do it normally. So we've got a big system of clans, and we've got weekly clan tournaments, and this is this kind of stuff that, like I said, brings people into the game for many months. We've got tournaments, we've got themed events, so it works for us really well. Like I said, if you don't have that, you don't have enough players getting back to your game after some long time. So, like I said, playtests were good to check your game entrance experience and check if they understand your tutorial and things like that. So you may ask if you can check this kind of stuff, this metagame and this core gameplay, if it feels great enough. So yes, there is a way. Like some people before me pointed out, there is soft launch. You can actually launch the game on some locked territory, like Canada and Australia, and see if your metrics, your core metrics are fine, if you keep enough players into the game, if they like it enough, if they pay you some money. And for that, you have to have analytics in the game, and we'll get back to this point later. So before you go worldwide, just God forbid, don't do it before soft launch, because you will get a lot of problems during soft launch. For example, our launch was, I think, 4 months, and we kind of changed a lot of stuff in the game because it was the first big project for us, and we made a lot of mistakes, and we fixed them quickly, and we were happy after that. So, these nice days of the release. You just reach this release, you release the game to the market, sit back and relax and see people enjoying your game, paying your money. No, you're not. It's actually, as with any kind of free-to-play game, it's not like premium games, so it's game as a service. So at the day you release the game, your worst nightmares just come together, and you will start working overnight before actually. It's just horrible. If this is your first huge game and you release it, it's an online free-to-play game, that's like, that's one of your worst days, that's for sure. So think about that, especially if you've got some budget for the game development. Don't think of your release day of the day that when your financing ends, because you will need a lot of time to work through soft launch. You will need a lot of time to work onto the game after your actual worldwide release. Think of at least 3 or 6 months of supporting the game on a daily basis before you actually get some money from this game. Sometimes it's that complicated. So what do you have to do when you release a free-to-play mobile game in the market? First of all, you have to befriend analytics tools, a lot of them. And you have to do that before even the worldwide launch, of course, on the soft launch. Think about all the... it's actually different from one game to another, what kind of metrics you have to check. But usually you're interested a lot in dropout points, in how good you retain the players into the game, what kind of playing pattern they have, if they come back to your game on a daily basis, how often and for how long, and what are their first purchase points, what are their average spend. And one of the most important parts, of course, is lifetime value of the user, because basically we'll have to, at some point, we will have to buy acquire some users, and you got to make sure that the cost of user acquisition is lower than the lifetime user value, because otherwise you're just pouring the money and just spending them with no return. So, like I said, it depends on the game, and those actual analytics tools you may use also depend on the game. But the basic principle is this. When you make a game, especially if it's a free-to-play mobile game as a service, you will always have some model, some player behavior model that you think it should, how do I put it? When you release some, yeah, that's the game. So, yeah, I actually like that music. That's good theme. Guys from Russia actually made it for us. So at any point when you release a game or you have to release a new feature, you will get this model of player behavior that is like model behavior for you. So if the players behave like that, so you're fine, you will get enough money. And what you have to check is to see at your analytics tools and see if the players actually behave that way, if they pay you enough money, if they stay into the game for long enough, or what is their progression time from beginning to actually to some level. If reality fits your model, if you're doing that, you're fine. So you gotta work on some analytics tools. The tools we're using, for example, right now is Flurry and Swerve. Some of them is shitty, some of them are good, and you can find a lot of other tools in the market. Flurry is free, but it actually doesn't give you a lot of sometimes it doesn't give you correct information. That's the first. And Swerve is kind of expensive, but it gives you a lot of insights into the game economy. If you like in Clash of Dent, we've got this huge in-game economy. You can spend some gold, you can earn some gold, you can spend some magic crystals, you can earn some crystals, and we see all those currency flows into the game in Swerve. But it's kind of expensive, so think of a custom solution as well. If your game is online, it may be a good idea for you to actually implement some analytics on the game server, and it's hard, but it's kind of necessary if you're planning to support this game for years. So this other thing you'll have to think about when you're releasing the game is the community. It's actually really important for a free-to-play game because, as I said, this is a game as a service. So working with the community, you will have to make sure that you keep the game alive. So they will people actually work your game, play your game because it's not like just a game for them. It's a hobby. It's a thing they do. They get back to it daily. So they want to understand that this is the game is alive. So new things happening in this. So you will get promo post updates, tourneys and stuff like that. Sneak peeks of new features. You will have to communicate with them, ask what they like, what they don't like. If you get some significant changes in the game, like change of balance, make sure that your leaders of opinion are fine with that. For example, your clan leaders or some core players that have been with the game for many months. Make sure that they are happy with those significant changes, because as a leader of opinions, they will tell about those features to other players in like internal chats or some other sources, and you will get more usual players on board with that significant feature if your leaders of opinion are fine with that. So also you will get a lot of feedback about the game, what works, what doesn't work. And one thing here I want to say that even if you get some angry player saying that he doesn't like the game a lot because of some new update or some bug he has, the fact that he actually got to you and emailed you with some message or in Facebook actually says that he actually cares a lot about your game. So those angry customers, those angry players, if you get them happy, if you fix their problems, they will actually be one of your loyal players. I will not stress enough how much this happened for us. So for us, actually, Facebook works quite well. So every time we post something on Facebook, the players see this small notification saying that there's some news into the game community. So you can actually press this read more button and get to Facebook and read some news and stuff like that. So we actually do this by platform. So some news are relevant for iOS, some news are relevant for Android market, and we can do it by platform. So to summarize, like I said, people are going back into the game because they like it. It's like a hobby, something they do on a daily basis. So make sure you keep the game live by making those events, making some tournaments, some challenges, showing them updates, what's coming soon into the game, making some promo sales, but not just that. Some other stuff is useful as well. So let's speak money right now. A lot of developers, especially who came from other platforms, think of free-to-play as they have this plan in mind. Just make a good game that people like. Just add monetization. Just add it somehow, and you're fine. So no, it doesn't work that way. You will have to think about monetization on the game design phase. You have to actually work monetization into the game structure, and first thing you will have to have in mind is actually players' goals. They will only pay you money if spending some money into the game will actually speed up some goal achievement they have in your game. You have to structure the monetization around that. For example, we know for a fact that just paywalls doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So you play the game, you get to this point where the game says you either pay us some money or you will not have to pay. You either pay or you quit. So this doesn't work. People really don't like that, and some of them will pay, but most of them will just get out from the game and tell their friends that they should not play it. This is how it works, actually. They will also will not pay you money if they realize that the only way to win in this game is to pay the money. It also doesn't work that way. What really works is they have some goals, some large, some higher level goals, and to achieve them, they can pay to speed up this progress. For example, I really want to finish this active campaign of my story mode. And to be able to do that, I will have to kill this boss. And it's really hard. I can play it, I can actually kill it without paying money, but if I will pay, it's going to be quicker. So yes, of course, I will pay, because I want to finish that boss. Or, for example, my clan needs help in this weekly tournament. And my potions being prepared, it's going to take them ages to be complete, and I actually need them to finish those fights. And okay, I can do it for free, but it's going to be too long. So yes, I will be willing to spend some money, and it's going to work. So in free-to-play, this is how things work. They actually have to realize that there is a chance for them to play through the whole game without paying money. And sometimes they will spend some money because it speeds up their progress towards some achievement. I will also point out here that things like customization, power-ups only work as an icing on the cake. If you got good monetization, if it's structured into the game design, it's going to work. Like, it's going to bring you some, I don't know, maybe 20–15% of all the revenues. But it's like I said, it's only icing on the cake. Core players will pay you a lot more for this, to speed up their achievement towards the goal. So one thing you have to know is that even if you did everything right, even if everything was right, 99% of all the people will never pay. They will just enjoy your game and get through it without paying any money, either of principle or because they have any money to spend, or maybe they live in some area that doesn't support any kind of app store billing. So it can be a lot of reason for that, but they will never pay you, and that's fine. You have to make sure that those people can play your game and still have a lot of fun with it, because they are the majority. Those are the people who will inhibit your game, and they will recommend, if they're having fun with it, they will recommend to their friends, and this is how you will actually, in some sort, make the money out of it, because they will recommend this game to their friends, because you will actually show them some offer walls where they can download some apps, and they will give you the money in this indirect way. You can make some advertisement so they can see or click the ads, so it will actually also bring you some indirect revenue. So, but the good news is that even with those majority people never paying you money, there is this 1% that will pay you a lot if you make the game right. So if you let them spend some money in the game and they really like it, and if you got great game design, which has monetization structured within it in the correct way, if your game has enough depth to propose some goals to player, and if they can speed up their progress towards their goals by paying some money, you will get a lot of money from those core players. And this is really good, and this actually makes the free-to-play mobile games a great challenge. But at the end of the day, it's really a great business model, and it can work for you really well, but you have to work a lot towards that goal as well. So at this positive note, I will have to finish my talk with those core points. If you got any questions, you can just ask them, or you can just shoot me an email. And I will have to say here that we're hiring a lot of talented people. I should have said it before, but I didn't. So if you're looking for a job as a game designer, artist, or developer, just let us know. We're actually a great company, and we're looking for a great talent. That's it, I think. Any questions? Yeah. Can you, what kind of game you mentioned? Candy Crush Saga. But they don't actually, those, it's not like paywalls. They have, if you mean those parts where you get to this point where you need some friends to unlock some progress, some points for you, or you have to pay, right? There is this point in a lot of match 3 games where you have to do something extra in order to unlock the next stage. So Candy Crush Saga, I think this Puzzle Craft, not sure. A couple of games like that have those systems that you either have to pay a couple of bucks, I think that's either $1 or $2, or you can ask 3 friends of yours in Facebook to get into the game, unlock something for you, and this is gonna unlock. This is how it works. So they actually have a way of making it for free, which is of course complicated because you have to actually make 3 friends of yours get into the game, do something. This is really hard, or you have to pay that. So you have a chance not paying. Yeah. Okay. All 5 of those. Whoa. Other speakers didn't have that. I thought the one question. So, which is the best platform for your games, App Store versus Google Play? Pros and cons. Our first game, Underworld, was doing really well on App Store, in the App Store, and it didn't do really well on Android. But back then, Android wasn't really a thing. It was kind of small platform that nobody actually believed, and we actually did some kind of poor job making this port version from iOS to Android. So this is why it actually didn't work for us. Right now, Clash of them is doing much better on Android. I don't know why, maybe because it was our flagship platform for this game. So we actually started with Android, and we spent about a year improving the game and working with the community for them to actually to like this game. And only after that, in November last year, we brought the game to the App Store, and we're still getting more money from Android. But it shouldn't, in general, it shouldn't be like that. In general, the monetization is much better on the iOS. I think about the percentage of paying users is at least 2 times better on App Store than on Android market. So if you do everything right, you will probably get more money from App Store. But we haven't actually nailed it yet, so we still perform better on the Android. I don't know why, actually. We're still working with that. So I hope I actually got that question. What was the biggest mistake you made with this last game? Oh, okay, that's the one. Okay, one of the biggest mistakes. We did 2. Actually, much more, but we fixed most of them, and only 2 still itching. You know, first of all, we did this thing that when you download the game from the Google Play, you will get to this phase that you will have to download some additional content before you can start the game. So we get this progress bar which says downloading content, and it will get you like busy for maybe a few seconds if your game connection, if your internet connection is good. But next game we will get rid of that, because this is actually the point where we lose about 30% of all the players, and it's kind of bad. So this device has, okay. Oh, Twitter, yeah, I found it. That's Windows Phone. Who does use that? Sorry? So second mistake. Thank you, Evelina. Second mistake was, what was it? This download and this other one. No, this downloading content is really bad. Oh, okay, I know this next one. Clash of them is an online game, but the architecture of the game we have is that it's too technical a bit, but if you're a developer, you will get it. The origin of all the data, of all the actions, is the client. So right now, when you make some progress into the game, it's actually originated from the client and then it's sent to the server. So it makes it really hard for us to identify cheaters and control the game from the server. So basically all the data flows from client to the server. For online game, for mass multiplayer online game like Clash of Them it's really a problem. The Underworld game we do right now, it's only server originated, and when you do any kind of, like in Clash of Clans for example, if you do any kind of changes into the game, they actually made on the server and then they're downloaded to your game and shown to you as a result. So this is kind of technical, but this is kind of a pain in the ass. So those questions keep why your studio don't create games for WinPhone platform? Okay, it's just the Windows Phone 8 platform. We did some ports, and we have one of games of ours is called Clash of the Damned. It's called Vampire Rush. You can look it up. We have it for Samsung Bada, we have it for iOS, and we did a port for Windows Phone 8. It didn't perform very well. There is no money right now in Windows 8, at least. Unless you're a big publisher like EA, like Disney, you can get a lot of games of yours to this market and just get those small amount of money that there are. For indie games, for small studio like us, it doesn't make sense. Game storyline. I don't actually understand this question. How about game storyline? Yes, there is a storyline in Clash of the Damned. We wish it would be a bit longer, and in our future games we will get the storyline which will be like never ending, but right now there's a storyline and it's kind of nice, and you progress towards those in those quests. It's like a traditional RPG game and really like it. Yeah, there is a lot of jokes in the storyline in Clash of Them. Okay, I will get to this new one. Dmitry, what the percentage of players you lost because that extra download screen? Like I said, it's about 30%, maybe more, and sometimes more. Depends on the. It actually, when you get new downloads, new users every day, sometimes it actually the percentage of players you get from those new users. It actually depends a lot from the source where those players how those players found your game. For example, if you're buying some traffic and it's kind of a low quality, a lot of people will just launch the game, see it, and just don't get back to it. And if those players, for example, have discovered the game by themselves, like going to the store looking, okay, I want just some sort of RPG game, those players will be more loyal, and a bigger percentage of them will stay into the game because they've actually invested some time in finding this game in the store, and they have more motivation to stay in this game. So this percentage of people that stay as your players, it actually depends on the source of how they actually found your game. Yeah, there is this question about Flappy Bird, but I don't actually understand it. So if you have this question, just ask me later. Anything more? More questions? Yeah. It was a Wild West back then. The first game we launched, it was this first version of Underworld, and it was done in 2009. Because it was a drug, back then when we actually first released this game, there was no App Store. We just released this game in this for jailbroken devices in Cydia. If you were on the early users of the iPhone, you will know it. And so yeah, back then there was no ecosystem for marketing. There was no ecosystem for soft launches. Nobody knew anything. And for example, back then there was no ways to monetize your game through the in-app purchases. So at first it was a premium game, and we were one of the first companies that actually tried in-app purchase microtransactions on the App Store. One of the maybe 5 companies that tried that in the App Store. So everything we did in the first Underworld, it was like just okay, we'll just try that. if it works or not. So because of that, we're actually working on a full-scale sequel right now, because we got much more experience. We understand how the market works. We understand what's important and what's not. So with all this experience, we get to this second part of the game, which will be like amazing. Yeah. Okay. We work with the publisher on the Clash of the End game, and we use some cross promo between our game and their games. But cross promo is never the main source of your users. It's in best case scenario, cross promo works if the games are kind of similar. For example, if you're get this RPG game and you want to advertise some other RPG game to those existing players, you will get better conversion, like maybe 10%, maybe 15% of all the players will actually try your game. It doesn't mean they will actually stay as a players there. But if the games are really different, for example, if you get this Match 3 puzzle game and you will make some cross promo to those users, you will cross promote some hardcore game like Clash of Them, it's not going to work. Only maybe percent or 2% will actually convert and try this game. So cross promo is never the biggest source of your traffic. You still have to probably acquire some players yourself.
Could you tell please more about publisher, how you will find them and what was criteria, and do you have it?
Yeah, we've got this really great publisher that is actually our partner on a lot of projects, and we're really happy. We started working with them before they grew to this huge company, and because of that we have this really close relationships. Creative Mobile, you can look it up. They have this cool, great big drug racing game franchise. So I can only say great things about them. So, and in terms of how we have to finish, right? Yeah. So if you get any more questions, you will get I'll be right there, and you can ask for more, okay? Or just shoot me an email.